What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. And today I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Chatri Sityodtong, the CEO of One Championship, as he prepares for the biggest card, I would say, in the history of One Championship, as they make their US debut here on May 5th. Chatri, I really appreciate you joining me. How are you today?
Good. I will correct you. It's not the biggest card we've ever done in history. It's a good card,
1X?
But it's not the biggest.
Is 1X the biggest, would you say?
1X, 1 century, yeah. We've had much bigger cards.
Okay, that's fair enough. But maybe on a global scale of where it's on Amazon, it's in the US and all of that. I definitely saw that 1X. I think one of our cards of the year last year. So that was an unbelievable card as well. So that is definitely fair enough. And I'm actually interested that you actually answered that way, because I was speaking to Roberto Soldic the other day, and I was asking him about, the decision to sign with One Championship, and obviously he had offers from everywhere and he could have signed for anywhere else. And he basically said, like, the way that you treated him, the way that you went to kind of Croatia, and the kind of the martial arts way that One Championship does things was a big factor for him. So for you as the promoter, as the CEO, in a world where we're full of slap fighting and YouTuber boxing and insanity like that, how tough is it, or how how is the decision made to actually stick to martial arts, stick to like the fighter driven, the fight driven promotion, instead of maybe switching to that sort of stuff like a lot of other people have?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm a lifelong martial artist, so for me, this is much more than a work or a job or passion. This is like, my greatest love in life, and I want to represent authentic martial arts at the highest levels in the world, in its purest form, with the greatest martial arts on the planet. So, Roberto is right. I mean, I obviously he and I get along very well, and I do believe he's going to be the next big global superstar in martial arts. We started off, our DNA is 180 degrees opposite from anything that exists in the US. And it's, we're really excited. This is the first time obviously coming to the US on ground, but, we're bringing the entire world of martial arts to America in a way that's never been seen before. And so, we've always been true to our mantra of home of martial arts, and that's who we are. And, it in many ways, One was built by martial artists, for our martial artists, and obviously for the fans all over the world.
I wonder, have you met people, even like myself, who've been an MMA fan for years, and when we started watching One Championship, and especially recently, where there is mixed martial arts mixed with obviously jiu-jitsu, with Mikey Musumeci and others, Muay Thai and kickboxing as well, that have actually enjoyed it. Like, I'll speak for myself, like, I wouldn't watch a lot of Muay Thai, a lot of kickboxing, but when the fights come on a One Championship card, I've started to get into it. I've started enjoying it, and the people, I'm not just saying this because you're in front of me, the people who listen to my previews will know this as well, because I said, have you heard other people saying that? And it's actually helped like the other martial arts as well as mixed martial arts.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, there's one thing I know. Everybody in the world wants to see the very, very best in the world. So that's what we have at One. We have the very, very best mixed martial arts, the very, very best strikers, the very, very best grapplers on the planet. And so, it's very much like the Olympics of martial arts. If you want to see the best of the best, the greatest on the planet, across all these different disciplines, it's One. There is only one place where you can find all of this. And another thing I'll tell you is our 70% finish rate. So we have the highest finish rate, of any of the global, the other two global organizations, and we're very proud of it because our world champions come to fight, and they come to finish, and that's a big, big differentiation from the other two organizations.
Now that you're coming to the US as well, I know, and I want to talk about the judging in a second, because I think it's obviously very interesting. I think that might have a part to do in the big finishing grade. Coming to the US, is the regulation going to be a little bit different? Like, is the judging going to be the same as it is for the Asian events? Is the weight cutting going to be the same? Is the rule set going to be the same? Have they everything
is going to be the same. The Colorado Athletic Commission has blessed everything that one does, and is the first state to bring in the global rule set, including every step of our hydration process, our testing protocol, everything. Many other states are following. I mean, we'll be announcing shortly in the future.
On just a couple of those things on the weight cutting, obviously MMA On Point did a video on your weight cutting, and Rich Franklin took part in that, and I give massive credit for being open about it and having Rich Franklin speak about it. Obviously, I think everyone would agree that something needs to be done about weight cutting, and would credit One Championship for trying to do something about weight cutting. At a point now where you're a few years in and using the hydration test, do you think it's working? Do you think it's achieving the goal you want? Is it something you're going to persist with? Is there any changes you would like to make from your side, who sees all the data and is part of it all the time? How do you see it?
Well, whenever you bring about positive change to any industry, there's always going to be, a little bit of resistance from the status quo. So we do see that. But then once a new athlete joins the one system, all of our athletes love it because you're just healthier. You don't take out 20 pounds of water weight during fight week. You're at your natural weight the whole time. We're checking hydration before, during, and after. We're checking hydration levels during fight week and then post the fight as well. So I think American fans may or may not know this, but we actually check your hydration and weight levels right after the fight. So you finish the fight, you go back to the locker room to the medical checkups, and there is the hydration and the scale. So we're making sure that it's almost impossible to cheat, because you have to, be on weight and be on hydration throughout the week, and then on top of it, right after the fight.
Is there any, we speak all the time about weight cutting and maybe ways to solve it. And I think a lot of people have the idea, whether it's right or wrong, to test people year round, maybe 4 times a year, out of camp, in camp, to test people's weight, to test people's hydration, and organize them into weight classes, which I think One Championship will probably find it easier to do than anyone else. I'm looking at the website and the rankings, it's very organized, and I feel like that's something that One Championship could do as well. Is that something you've looked into, or do you think the fight week hydration test and the post-fight hydration test serve that purpose?
No, I think it's unrealistic to do that throughout the year, because, some people train throughout the year, some people don't. Some people stay in shape throughout the year, some people don't. If you go on a month on vacation, you're going to gain weight, and so it throws things off. So I think the most realistic is and most implementable is what we're doing right now, is basically checking your weight multiple times and your hydration multiple times during fight week, and then directly right after your fight, when you're done, you go to the medicals, and right there is the hydration and the weight testing.
I would ask you about the judging. Obviously, you fight in rounds like we would see in the UFC or Bellator or wherever else, but the fight is scored as a whole. And, I'm someone who's concentrated a lot on judging and the scoring criteria over the last couple of years. And to be honest, I came into it with a bit of a negative mindset, but I honestly, I like it. I do like it. I think it's a little bit different. I do think it works for One Championship. For you, that decision to score the fight as a whole, is it something as well that you look at and think maybe, okay, is that working, is it not working, should I change to the 10-point must system and score it round by round? Is that a kind of an ongoing chatter between yourself, maybe Rich Franklin, other people as well, or do you think
No, we're very, very happy with everything. It's been 11 years in the making, so I don't want to make it sound like we just started this thing and we're happy with it. It's been 11 years of going through thousands of matches and figuring things out, and coming to a really good place where you have extreme excitement. You have, fighters who are healthy, who love competing at one, who give it their all. You have, just a barn burners of fights. And most of all, you have 70% finish rates. And here's the thing, right? If you, the 10-point must system, unfortunately, can allow for the gaming of a fight, meaning that you have a 3-round fight, last 10 seconds, you'd go for double leg takedown and you just lay and pray. You do that 3 rounds in a row, you quote unquote can win the fight. That is no longer martial arts to me. That's no longer fighting. That's a game. That's no different than hide and seek or tag. And that is a fundamental problem today, in my opinion. And that's why you have a lower finish rate. But if a fight is scored as a whole, you're not allowed to bank any rounds off of playing this kind of like, hide and seek or tag game. You have to inflict damage. You have to finish fights. Those are the main criteria, right? I mean, near submission, near knockouts, and damage are the top criteria. And it's no different than if you see, and this is what I mean about the ethos of martial arts that's we've preserved at one. When martial arts was first invented, it was for self-defense. It was to, hand-to-hand combat. If someone is threatening your life or going to do you harm, you're able to finish the confrontation in the event that it had escalated to physicality. That is the underlying goal of martial arts, to finish a fight. But over time, as martial arts became more and more gamified and turned into sport, we've kind of lost the essence of martial arts, and that's what one represents. Again, it's a home of martial arts. And we showcased some of the greatest martial arts on the planet across all these different disciplines. And they have one mindset in that one thing is like they're lifelong martial arts who come to finish. And that is something, again, that is very true to the essence of martial arts. And that's what I'm saying. One is bringing something entirely different. We're super excited to showcase it to our American fans, to all American fans. And I guarantee they've never seen anything like it. It's something that's, whether it's our production value, whether it's our athletes, whether it's the different styles, whether it's the 70% finish rate, fans are in for a huge treat. We're bringing the entire world to America.
And let's talk about the fight. Let's talk about the main event, Demetrious versus Adriano Moraes. Obviously, the third meeting between the two. And I have a theory on this. I want to get your thoughts on it. I feel like the first fight, for Demetrious, it was very hard to adjust to the rule set, obviously, where you can knee a grounded opponent, and he was knocked out with that. And I think he's been had a couple of years now. He's adjusted to the rule set. He's trained more on it, and I think he has become a better one championship fighter than, obviously, in my opinion, the greatest fighter of all time. But he had to adjust to it, and I think that's an interesting thing as well. When people come to one championship, I said, the same thing with Soldic and others as well. My theory, do you think that there's a possibility in that theory? I know, take nothing away from Adriano Moraes, but the fact that he had fought in one championship, do you think that was a little bit of an advantage for him that he took into that and fight? Maybe he still has.
No, I really don't see it. At the end of the day, when you're in there, especially like DJ, who comes to finish fights, he doesn't kind of gamify. I would agree with you if your fight style was all predicated on gamification, meaning at the end of 10 seconds, at the last 10 seconds of every round, you lay and pray. But if you've always been a finisher, rule set should be almost irrelevant. And I just think that you have two of the very, very best flyweights on the planet go at it, and that's why they're one apiece. And again, what makes this intriguing for me is, the first one ended in a KO by knee, and the second one ended by KO by knee. So, in the third one, I don't know, maybe it has to be a double flying knee or something. But both athletes, it's razor close. If you look at the fights, both fights were back and forth, very, very close fights. They were not lopsided in any way. And I think that's a testament to both athletes. They come to finish. They're the best of the best, and it's always been exciting with these two. I don't think there's an adjustment period. Genuinely, again, if your style was lay and pray and trying to win by points, you wouldn't have gotten signed to one. That we're just not interested in those kind of fighters. But B, you just don't. If you're a natural finisher, the one championship rule set is perfect for you.
As someone, you've spoken about martial arts a lot. As someone who really tries to stick to that, how great is it for you to promote Demetrious Johnson? Because we can talk about, we can have the debate who's the greatest fighter and all this, but I don't think there's any debate. If you're talking about mixed martial artists, his ability, the way he's carried himself throughout the years, Demetrious Johnson is the greatest. It must be an absolute privilege for you to actually work with him and have him on the cards that you promote.
Yeah. For me, the two greatest mixed martial artists are DJ and George St. Pierre. And I'm talking as a lifelong martial artist, judging their skill set. Forget their credentials for a second. Forget their achievements for a second. If you just look at them in terms of their striking, in terms of their ground game, in terms of their transition, their cage work, if you just look at their entire game, they're complete. And whether it's DJ or whether it's GSP, I'd give the edge to DJ just because he's a little bit more smoother, a little faster and slicker. But he's perfection. DJ is perfection. I mean, and I envy it because, I've been doing Muay Thai for 38 years and Jiu-Jitsu for about 16 years. And my smoothness will never be anywhere close to DJ's, no matter how much more longer I train. But that's what I mean. I look at it through the lens of how good are they actually technically? And then, of course, when you layer in the fact that DJ went for, 12 fights, defenses undefeated or something like that. And you look at the fact that he won the World Grand Prix in one. Yes, he didn't win the one world title in his first attempt, but in his second attempt he did. If you look at his body of work, I think there's no question that DJ is the GOAT because he's won at the highest levels on the east side, on the west, and on the east. He's captured the two most prestigious belts in martial arts, full stop. And no other athlete can say that. No other athlete on the planet can say that. So it's something that's, for DJ. But again, people like to look at accolades and achievements and all that stuff. But again, you have to strip that away first and say, look, does this person have the skills that would qualify you as just, there's another X factor. He or she's on a Michael Jordan level, on another level. DJ has that. And then, of course, when you layer in everything else, I think he is the GOAT.
I couldn't agree more. And I think one thing people forget as well about Demetrious Johnson is he won, I think, 13 fights as a bantamweight before the 125-pound division even existed. And, they always like to say, he didn't go up in weight and all, but I think that's ridiculous because he got all the way to Dominic Cruz, who was so dominant at the time as well. That was an unbelievable achievement itself. And I think he's still undersized even to this day. I think, if the 115-pound division that you have was there a few years ago, I think he could have been fighting in that. But we will, maybe that's a debate for another day. But another couple of fights I just wanted to touch on quickly, and I appreciate your time here. Roberto Soldic, obviously I mentioned him earlier on. We had the Ramazanov fight. Obviously it ended in the low blow. What was the thinking of making the Zadestam fight now and not making the rematch against Ramazanov for Soldic?
We wanted to do the rematch right away, but it's Ramadan. So Murad has specifically asked if he could do the rematch before Ramadan. And the problem is Roberto was still recovering from his injury. His groin injury actually took a month and a half or so, or maybe even 2 months to recover from. So it was actually quite dramatic, quite traumatic. So the timing just didn't work out. Otherwise, we would have done the rematch right away. So it's just, Murad will be fighting, I think, later this summer. He'll be back in action. Of course, we'd love to put Roberto and Murad back in action. So it's just a timing thing. And also, Roberto was ready to go for May, whereas Ramadan is just ending right now. And I don't think Murad would have had enough time to get it into peak shape.
It's almost a blessing in disguise because I've watched Zabaztian a good bit over the last couple of years, and he's, I think, a similar fighter to Soldic in that he goes for it on the feet, lands a lot of big shots, he has power. Like, for the people maybe who are tuning in for Demetrious Johnson, this is a fight you probably need to be tuning in for a little bit earlier. This could be an absolute banger on the feet, isn't it?
Oh no, there's no question. Roberto Soldic versus Sebastian Zadestam is KO striker versus KO striker. Both are very technical with huge power, and so it's going to be a treat for the fans. I mean, there is no way this fight is going to go the distance. Somebody's going to get knocked out. Mark my words. And it's going to be a barn burner. It's going to come out guns a-blazing. And I believe Zadestam was the one who called out Roberto when Roberto's first signed to one. Yeah.
Talk to us about Sage Northcutt, Chatri. Obviously, when he signed with One Championship, I think a lot of people were excited to see Sage and his improvements. Another guy who's, I think, no one would question his martial arts ability, but maybe, you know, getting the experience as a mixed martial artist, and it's been a really tough time for him with injury and everything like that. What do you expect to see from Sage? Obviously, here he's fighting on May 5th, but over the next year or two as well, is it now really time for Sage to kick on in his career and go to the next level?
You know, I love Sage. I truly believe Sage has everything. He has everything and more in terms of what it takes to become a world champion, and a world champion across multiple disciplines for that matter. If you talk to anyone who's trained with Sage, if you've ever seen Sage spar, you'll know he has unbelievable athleticism, cardio, explosiveness, speed, balance, and of course, technical ability. You know, he's an unbelievable striker. He's great wrestling, outstanding jiu-jitsu. It's just unfortunate he had a bad, start in one. So this is going to be a huge comeback story. Of course, there's a lot of questions. You know, fans are going to be asking, where is Sage mentally? You know, when you've been knocked out like that, coming back, you may or may not be the same person. Genuinely, you may be gun shy. But at the same time, Sage is one of these, 1 in 8 billion kind of athletes. He's for lack of a word, he is a specimen, So I think Sage is going to come back spectacularly, but he has a very tough fight. Ahmed Muhtaba is no joke. He's got aggressive KO power, and he's pretty slick on the ground. And I believe he's training at AKA right now. So, it's going to be a barn burner of a fight, but a lot of questions will be answered with this fight on Sage's potential to become a world champion and whether it's still there or not.
I would tend to agree with that, Chatri. I really appreciate the time. Last thing for me, as we look forward, is there any fights? Give us a bit of news here. Is there any fights that you can break for us going forward? Obviously, the heavyweight fight between Buller and Malyak, and that's something that will surely be happening later in the year. But I know Rene the Ritter is on this card as well. What's next for him? Obviously, with Christian Lee as well, and I would love to get an update in the Lee family if you have that for us as well. But he obviously is a champion at 2 weight classes. What is going to be happening there? Have you any updates, I suppose, on all the championship belts, if you could run us through it?
Yes. So I was in Hawaii around 3 weeks ago, to visit the Lee family and to pay my respects to Victoria and her resting place. And there's a lot of healing to do, as a family, as individuals. And I think the best thing that I can do and everyone else around the world is to, show our love and support to the Lee family, and give them the space and time to grieve and to heal. Beyond that, I don't have any other answers. But I did have a brief chat with Angela about, just out of respect, or letting her know that, look, take your time. Whether you come back or not, I have no idea if you're going to come back. Take your time, though. In the meanwhile, if it's okay, I asked for permission. If it's okay, we're going to do an interim fight, just so that we don't slow the division. I haven't had that talk with Christian yet, but I will have that talk, in the coming days or weeks. He and I are quite close, and I just need to pick up the phone. I just don't have that time, but I want to give him that courtesy as well. And there is a chance that we never see Angela and Christian ever again in the cage. It's very possible. I just can't imagine the pain and suffering and devastation, of losing a little sister. Especially, the Lee family is super close. It's, really loving family. So yeah, when I visited, it was just very, very, it was devastating.
Yeah, I think the whole MMA community felt that obviously at the turn of the year, and it's very, very sad. And I think we would all agree to give them the time that you spoke about there, and give them their privacy as well. We will leave it there, Chatri. I really appreciate it. Best of luck with the fights on May 5th. I'm sure everyone will be tuning in on Amazon in the US and Canada, and worldwide as well on the One Championship website. Thank you very much for your time today, and I'll speak to you again.
Thank you so much. And American fans, tune in. May 5th, free on Amazon Prime. America, you're going to see real martial arts at the highest levels in the world across multiple disciplines. 3 world title fights coming to you, free on Amazon Prime, 8 p.m. Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, May 5th. Let's go. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Chatri.